Hey everybody, this is Fi. We're checking out Nullmaze. This is a game I've not played before. I don't know anything about it. We're going to give it a playtest and see if we can give some useful feedback. You can open up the game page here real quick. And it says, "Welcome to Nullmaze, an empty and infinite world where you must live. You could fill it with any items you want and they will appear around you. It's a sandbox game where you decide what will be in your world. If you have interesting ideas or you'd like to follow the news on the game, you could join my Discord server." So if anyone is watching this wants to check that out, you can check the link in the description. That'll go to the game page here. It has some more written here, but I'm not going to spend the time to read all of it. But doesn't give me a lot to work with, so it's going to be interesting to see what we find in the game proper. Let's get rid of the overlay. I'm not seeing anything past the screen. You can see the version number down here. This is the build I'm playing currently. I will note that the music is a bit loud in volume, which is a common problem I find with these small indie projects. So you might want to check that against other games you might have installed, for instance, and kind of get your general volume level in a certain ballpark, but I had to turn it down quite a bit. Hopefully it's okay in the capture right now. But I guess we just click on play. It does mention controls down here, WASD or arrows for movement. Left mouse button is attack, Q is inventory, and B is shop. Interesting that we have to kind of reach for the B key there, but I'll try to remember that. Whoa. So that was interesting. Alright, so it kind of popped up on this screen for a brief moment and then had this generating screen, which I didn't really make any sense of. So it was a little confusing, but no harm done, I suppose. We got a funny little walk animation, press B to open shop. Alright, so here we are. We can't really... Oh, so this is kind of a funny thing, but I guess the background kind of stays showing through this, but I can kind of see myself right here, but it's sort of overlaid on top of this silhouette in a way that it looks like this is one thing. So that's kind of silly, but yeah, there we go. Oops. So B is a little hard to reach, but that's something you can get used to. We have 0 coins, it looks like. So I don't know what these are or how they will affect things. Looks like we have a little shot here. Okay, so interestingly, not only is the shot very slow and very short in range, but it's also very low rate of fire. It takes a while before we can shoot again, so that's a very interesting choice. It's not very typical. Okay, so it looks like we don't inherit the inertia when we shoot. So if I'm moving in a direction and I shoot, my bullet kind of moves the same speed I do. Might be a little nicer to consider making the bullet inherit your inertia so that doesn't happen, but it's not necessarily a problem. It just kind of, if nothing else, it looks funny. Now I think I saw something in the world here a moment ago, but I wasn't paying enough attention to really... Okay, here's another coin. So I noticed that the frames seem a little unstable, which is generally something that can be solved by using exclusive full screen mode. Not even sure if it shows up in the capture, but I always like to have that as an option, full screen, rather than using the borderless windowed mode, which is what we currently have. To have exclusive full screen is nice. Just something you'd stick in an options menu. I don't remember if we have... Doesn't look like we have proper options. This turns the sound on and off. We have continue and exit. What was the other thing? Q was for inventory, I think. It looks like we have a crafting of some sort. I'm assuming that this is... Looks like in the top right we can see what I'm assuming is our health. Interesting how it disappears when you open this menu. And then it has what looks like a little sword, so that might be like attack power or something like that. Interesting how that particular element doesn't show up in the UI here. I did say we have enough items to craft whatever this is. A simple tree, but you can get wood. Alright, I guess so. Loot items, craft items. Okay. So maybe that's a wood log? It's a little hard to interpret what that visual is, but this looks like a sword. It also looks... How do I get out of here? It also looks different from this particular asset. I don't know if that's meaningful, but presumably once I've bought this, which interestingly doesn't show up in here anymore, but presumably once I bought that, then it shows up in the world. So okay, we've got some of these. So something that occurs to me is that I don't see any way to kind of see what you've purchased already. I guess you can kind of just tell from what you find around in the world, perhaps, but there's not any indication of things that have already been purchased. So I wonder if that might be helpful to the player. So I guess we... Alright, so we kill that, we pick up what appears to be wood, and then we have a wooden sword here, which... Okay, that goes over here. Now can I... Clicking on this doesn't seem to do anything. Okay, so I didn't really get a sense of like the price of this. I understand I had like 2 logs here, and then this just has a 1 next to it, so I just clicked on that and then the logs disappeared. But again, I didn't really get a sense of like what the cost of crafting this thing was going to be. It looks like we have a different attack now that we have a sword. It's a little silly because of the fact that we're actually shooting a projectile instead of actually like swinging a sword in the sense that you would generally imagine swinging a sword would work. But it's functional. One thing I did notice is that picking up items is a little particular, the collision. So you can get really close to this and you can see my pixels are kind of colliding here and I'm not really picking it up. So it's a little more particular, I think, than it needs to be. I might tweak that just to, you know, help the game feel along. So it doesn't feel kind of annoying to pick up everything. Enough coins to buy silkworm. See, in that case, I kind of missed that one, and it just didn't feel right. I had to kind of turn around and go back and pick it up again. So again, we can craft this, which I think... Okay, so it takes 2. Then it's batted out. I didn't see. It looked like something happened afterwards, so I looked away. So this is just... Okay, so I think it might have done this for some reason. Or it's like the player's trying to pick it up and then he kind of tosses it again because I already have one, something to that effect. So yeah, I can determine that this costs 2 wood just from the experience of it, but it'd be nice to have that printed somewhere. I mean, when this little window thing pops up here, there's a lot of space there that you could print that kind of thing. You could also, you know, write what it actually does, which would be nice because I could only guess. It's just, I presume, just a stronger attack. Interesting. Okay, so something that I noticed is that I think the diagonals aren't being normalized here. So what that means is that when you move diagonally, you move faster than you move left and right, for instance. I think that's what's happening. It's one of those things that's always a little hard to tell for sure, but I think that's what's happening. So if I remember the math correctly, I think what you want to do is just multiply the diagonals by 0.707, the speed, I mean, that you move when you're moving diagonally. That should solve that. We've got 37. Let's see what else we have here. We can do bush, we can do frog, we can do silkworm. A silkworm from which you can get threads, a frog with few coins, a bush from which you can get heal item. So we have, what, 37? So we can buy this and this, for instance. I assume these are like enemies because they seem to be alive. Whereas this is a plant. I mean, plants are alive too, but they are stationary, of course. So let's go ahead and do that. Looks like we get more loot items and more craft items. So one thing that I'd like is to be able to hit escape to get out of menus. It's a really common thing for escape to work as kind of a back key. So here I have to like hit the B button to get out again. Interestingly, we can open up both of these screens At least if I open this screen, I can open this screen, which is maybe not what you want. It looks a little wonky. But again, I can't hit escape to close any of these, so it does close the pause menu, which is good. But yeah, so we should have more things in the world here. Should have plenty of wood. So yeah, the fact that you shoot this slowly is one of those things that tends to be something I would avoid, because it just makes things kind of particular, where if you do happen to miss, you have to wait a long time before you can kind of try again with your shot, and it's one of those things that can kind of make the game feel a little bit unforgiving in a way it doesn't necessarily need to. So far the enemies seem, or at least that one, seems not only not very threatening, but also very slow moving, so that kind of helps with the fact that you don't get a very high rate of fire or anything. I'm not sure if maybe some future unlocks you might get something that shoots a little faster. But yeah, kind of the combination of the rate at which the bullet moves and the slow rate of fire, those are things that just kind of make combat harder in a way that's not always fun, but as long as, you know, the enemies are, you know, if they're really slow moving and stuff like that, then it's then it works okay. But then I guess kind of the mindset about it is that if you want enemies that move faster, and maybe that's more exciting and stuff, and maybe are a little more dangerous, then you kind of have to give the player a bit more to work with. So you might want to make their, you know, the rate of fire higher. You might want to make them the projectile speed higher and that kind of thing, so that they can actually deal with enemies that are faster, and that might result in a more exciting game. So as it is, it's like, yeah, it works fine, but might be something to consider if you just want to add a little bit more excitement to the proceedings here. So it's taking a while to, I'm not paying much attention to actually my money here and what else I could buy. Looks like we can get a merchant. Yeah, it seemed like it's a little bit hard to even run into like the silkworms, for instance. Not sure if these are even supposed to be dangerous, actually, now that I mention it, because they didn't pose any kind of threat to me. I just kind of assumed that they might. We do have health and such, so let's go ahead and buy the frog. We have 34 left, so I keep hitting the escape key kind of out of habit, trying to get out of the menus. But yeah, so far, right, the frog is a little faster, but still haven't gotten hurt here. But it does take a long time to kind of get going in the game here, so it might be something to consider, because of course the last thing you want is for the player to get bored before they actually like get into the game. So could definitely try and speed things up a bit here, or at least if not speeding up the progression, maybe speed up like the encounters with enemies, that kind of thing, so that the player is actually doing more. Because for instance, oh, lots of coins up here, like just shooting these trees and collecting the coins and the wood, this is very you know, the player isn't doing much here. It's just sort of busy work, and that's not the most engaging thing for the amount of time that you're spending on it. So just in general, finding more engaging things to give the player to do. Might be a good idea. So interestingly, you can shoot the coins, which can also push the enemies, so they can kind of actually block your shots from hitting the enemies, which in my opinion is pretty annoying. I mean, it's kind of silly, I guess, that you can shoot the coins, and it's like, okay, that's neat, maybe. But if it's gonna actually like interfere with combat like that, that could be really frustrating, I think. So I might consider removing that particular aspect, letting the bullets go right through them. So yeah, we've got 116. We can do a merchant. We can do a bunny. A bunny shoots at us, apparently. We can get exploding palms. Or rock. Rock from which you can get stones. Which I guess we can craft more. So I forgot that we might have different craft items also. So I guess we'll just buy whatever. At this point, I'm not sure if there's much sense in prioritizing buying one thing instead of just buying anything we can. Let's check this. We can do thread, which presumably if we... wooden armor. Or thread is what we have, that's the raw material, so we can craft these things. So I have armor now. Haven't had any reason to use it so far, I haven't gotten hurt by anything. So one thing that's stood out to me is the fact that the UI is quite minimal, which is, you know, that's okay if you want to pursue that kind of thing. It could be nice to have a very minimal UI, but I think you would benefit from having a little more information present. So for one thing, you can't see the amount of coins you have unless you either, you know, go into the menu or... Oh, apparently that doesn't stop the gameplay. I didn't even realize that. Interesting. You either go into the menu or you pick up a coin and then that disappears. I would just prefer to have that just omnipresent there, so I can see it whenever I want to. So I can kind of keep track of my progression here. Because a lot of times when I'm just going around and collecting them, I'm not really looking up there, I'm kind of looking in the middle here. So I don't actually even I don't even see that pop up when I pick stuff up, because I'm just not paying attention to it that way. But it would probably be nice to keep better track of that, so I can, you know, be more inclined to realize that I have like a lot of these and I should spend them on something. I guess the other thing would be like this. Well, I guess we see the health and the armor, but we don't see... I'm assuming this is attack power or something. I don't actually know what this is, to be honest. It didn't change, I don't think, when I crafted the wooden sword, so I'm not really sure about that. I suppose that these are kind of visually represented here, so that's good enough, probably. I need to interact, so I was kind of looking away when I suddenly ran into this guy, so I've actually taken damage at this point. So apparently I lost the armor here, which just fell onto the ground, which is interesting. Guy apparently did a whole heart's worth of damage, which is quite a bit considering I don't have very much to work with here. These collisions are probably fine. They're a little bit imperfect, I suppose, but that's not something I'd worry about, I guess. If we had 200, we could buy +1 art. So again, I guess E. So this is alright, so every one of these menus has their own button to close them. Again, it would just be comfier if I could just hit escape key for any of the menus, because that's not something I really have to think about, you know? So, again, like, when I think about my, how much gold I have, and I look up there, I can't actually see it usually, so... let's see, B key, we can buy bunnies, we can buy exploding palm trees. I guess we'll have more bunnies here. Oh gosh. Yeah, see, that's annoying. For like more than one reason. Because I don't want my stuff to move around necessarily when I want to pick that up. But it blocking my attacks against the enemies is particularly bad in my opinion. we've got another merchant who is selling the same thing. I should probably not bother killing those plants because I don't need any health anymore. Let's go back into, what is it, Q? Craft the wooden armor again. Should probably keep that up because I have plenty of wood. Interestingly, I only have 3 thread. I don't remember if crafting this spends that or not. Again, I don't really see the prices. Q to escape here. There's the bunny. He supposedly shoots at us. Okay, so the bunny can actually help kill some other stuff here. All right, we can shoot the projectiles with our projectiles. Interesting. All right, so the bunny is quite fast, which makes it a little bit annoying because of the fact that our... Oh, I don't think that's supposed to happen. That looks like a bug. Makes it a little bit annoying because of the fact that our attack is so short in range. So this bunny is kind of good at running away, which I can understand is kind of, you know, part of the design of it. But whoa, might feel a little comfier if you could shoot a little bit further when you start having fast enemies like that. So I did notice that frog came pretty close to me and didn't cause damage. That's probably a good thing because that indicates that the colliders aren't so big, which is good when you're talking about avoiding damage and stuff. You don't want them to cause you damage when they just like barely, you know, just barely touch your pixels, or even worse if they don't even visually touch you and they cause damage, which sometimes happens. So yeah, that's a good thing. We took some damage there, not paying the most attention. We did get a rock killed for the first time, which is a funny thing to say. Alright, yeah, that's a little annoying. Alright, Frog Warrior, what do we have here? Wait, oh, we can get a stone sword now because we have 2 stone armor. Alright, the stone sword. Does it behave any different? Okay, I think we're shooting a little faster now. Interesting. I don't think there's a point to killing trees anymore. We got too many wood, probably. So we probably want to find more rocks. He only drops coins, which I guess we do need a lot of coins, so we should probably kill frogs as much as we can. There's a bunny thing. Buy disc. More coins in the world, but dangerous discs appear. Interesting. Frog Warrior. Combat skills. A fast cookie monster with few coins. Iron rock. Rock from which we can get iron. That sounds very useful. So it's interesting because we can choose between like adding a stronger enemy into the game or adding a rock, which is I guess the rocks seem relatively rare, but at least it's not like posing any kind of a threat to me, and it's only like giving me a benefit, so that's an interesting thing. Here we go. I wonder if that was a regular stone rock, apparently. I don't know how the iron rock looks exactly by comparison. Gosh, that guy's fast. See, I don't want to like run that far away and miss all these resources to try to pursue that guy. So apparently that's iron. funny how it kind of got bigger after I shot it a few times. So yeah, I can appreciate that you have to kind of work a little bit to getting close to the bunny to shoot him. But it is a little annoying just how far away he flies after you shoot at him or after he attacks or whatever. Interesting. Not sure what happened before where the rock seemed to grow and then turn into the iron rock. I don't know if that was a bug of some kind. We do have... I forgot I don't have any armor or anything. No, what's the buttons here? Q for this. We can do iron sword. We can do stone armor. We can't do iron armor, interestingly. Which might be related to the fact that we only have 4, perhaps. So let's do a stone armor and an iron sword. So I am curious about... I don't even know what the thread is for, but like the wood, is that gonna still be useful in any capacity? Are we gonna have items that we can craft with wood anymore, or is that just gonna become a useless resource? Guy's getting a little close. It does? Oh, okay, this scrolls. I might want to put like a scroll bar here to indicate maybe that isn't relevant yet, but I was gonna say there's not many slots here, so I don't know if that it's indicative of the fact that there's only a few things that we can even craft at all. Hello. Alright, let's get the +1 health. Let's get some stone. Because why not? I'll go after this bunny. Gosh, he really is good at running. I'm afraid he's gonna like despawn or something. Holy crap. Holy moly, that almost hit me. Alright, that was a lot of work for those coins. Oh, hello. So we get exploding palm, which we haven't bought yet. I don't know if I necessarily want to. There's more coins, I guess. I don't know if I've... See, here's the thing, I already have tons of wood, so I don't know if it would be worth shooting at the palm trees for coins when I could just shoot at the enemies for coins. Let's get it anyways for the sake of completeness, I don't know. Oops, ran into that frog. Got a little too, a little too confident, I suppose. What is this guy offering now? Wait, let's kill... Oh! Alright, so I think there's a little bit of a bug here where you can stand right here and your shots will collide with the shop. That's probably not something you want to happen. Looks like the shop is offering the same thing. So I noticed that in that interaction there, I shot the frog and then he kind of ran into me after I shot him. It seems like it would make a little bit more sense if he got knocked back, which kind of looks like is what generally happens. So maybe the impulse is just not added at the right time or something. It's a little strange. It definitely seemed like he should have stopped his forward momentum when I shot him. That's kind of what I would expect here. I wonder why I'm pink now. Maybe that's a bug. Maybe it was part of the hit indication or something that didn't go away. Alright, let's get some health. Let's craft stone armor. B button, we can get the frog warrior, the cookie. Looks like an upgraded bunny. Let's go with the frog. So the good thing is we can kill the trees with one shot, but we don't get that many coins. I don't remember seeing any exploding trees yet. Maybe they are not that common. Oh. Wrong button. Okay, let's get the armor back. Q. Alright, where's the interesting stuff here? So every time you lose your armor, you have to craft it again. You can't just like pick up the health power-up, so it's a little bit of an inconvenience if you want to always have armor. So this is an upgraded frog. It might actually make sense to change the way the armor works a bit. Maybe have it... oh, that's how it works. Maybe have it actually reduce damage to your health pool here, rather than it just eating through the armor and then eating through the health. So in that way you wouldn't have to constantly replenish it if you do take a damage. Just be less annoying, I think. It's more of like the Minecraft style of armor. But yeah, it makes sense to me. I think yeah, there's nothing for me to do except look for more coins here. Enough coins to buy cookie, might as well do that. Because we need more sources of coins. Alright, got a little too close to that guy. Let's go ahead and buy this, because I kind of prefer to have proper health rather than keep building the armor, I think. Even though I can afford the armor, it's actually a little bit annoying, as I mentioned, to have to craft it every time. So far the upgraded frogs aren't putting up much of a fight. I don't know if maybe they're quite similar to the standard frogs, except they perhaps have more health and maybe even do more damage, or I'm not sure if they actually have any behavioral differences. Alright, let's buy the cookie, I guess. I guess technically we should wait for this because it's supposed to add, like, increase all the coins or something to that effect. So that would be a more efficient way to ensure we get coins quickly. Oh, getting some frame instability here. So it seems like I get the feeling like the normal frogs are actually just like the most efficient ones to kill so far. The upgraded ones do take one more hit. I guess they do give you roughly equivalent amount of coin per shot it takes, slightly higher. Let's go ahead and hit this. We're gonna buy the disc. They're supposedly quite dangerous. But it says you get more coins in the world, so maybe that just meant they just more coins that randomly spawn, which doesn't sound very good unless it's quite substantial, because not only have I don't think I've even seen just random coins spawn anytime recently, but just getting single coins once in a while isn't very helpful anyways, because it's just not that much. These are all the same. Still no iron armor. Haven't seen any discs. I also haven't really noticed. I guess that's one of the randomly spawning coins that presumably the disc thing would have effect. Okay, so now I'm seeing more of these random coins. And also the discs. Which is interesting. I'm not sure if maybe it was because I was kind of walking around areas that I already had spawned or something. I kind of assume that like the areas also despawn after you walk away from them. Because it's kind of hard to keep track of like the idea of where you are in the world. I just, whoa, I did not expect him to bounce like that. I just kind of assumed that you could just go in any direction you wanted and it would just spawn into random stuff. Which I believe has been the case so far, more or less. I don't know. So I think we could get... Oh. Okay. That was unexpected. Alright, we're up to 300. Looks like we want 350 for that guy. I guess we could buy a fast cookie. Haven't seen the cookie yet. So maybe we have all the health we can get. Okay, I haven't seen the cookie yet. Still just seeing the same old things. Alright, there's a cookie. Whoa! Oh, the cookie has a lot of stuff. Why is the cookie full of so much stuff? Maybe it's just rare? Oh, hello. I was not looking in that direction. I think I got hit twice in kind of rapid succession. You might want to have a little bit longer of a like invincibility time after taking damage, so you don't just like pinball off of enemies and lose all your health really fast. Because that would be pretty frustrating if that were to happen. Alright, we can buy the big bunny. Larger bunny than others. Alright, so everything's sold out, so I assume that means that's everything that we can buy, and I guess this is actually a complete list of all the loot items and all the craft items. So it doesn't look like we're gonna get anything new. At least with the current content in the game. Let's see if we find the bunny. The big bunny. See how big he is. Alright, this is here. Which looks like one of these armor things that I dropped at some point. It makes me wonder if maybe the world wraps around. I can't even press C on this guy anymore. I guess because there's a rock in the way. But I don't know if that's the case or not. So up here is a cookie, which we want to kill. Because he's full of goodies. Some rocks are kind of on top of each other here. I believe these are normal bunnies. I don't think I've seen the... Oh, I guess that's the big bunny right there. He's not quite as fast, I think. Oh. So he's full of money. He doesn't seem very dangerous so far. I'm not sure. Maybe he has a shot like the other bunnies have. I haven't seen it yet. Whoa, that guy came flying at me. What the heck was that? Cookie. Rock. I don't think I need resources. I think the only things I can craft are these right here. I guess I could get the armor back. But I believe the swords are permanent. So that's all I can craft at this point. There's a normal bunny. Who really makes you work for him. Let's see what this guy does. Do something. Is he gonna shoot at me? He's just too fat to be of any use to his kind, I guess. So interesting. So, I don't know, for all I know, that bunny could just not be completely implemented yet or something. He doesn't seem to do any attack. But that seems to suggest that we've about seen all the content in the game. Which means that all that is left to do is either to keep collecting coins forever, or I guess just talk about some general thoughts about the game here. So, yeah, hopefully if I kind of stand still here, it won't spawn too many things around me, but yeah, so the concept is interesting. Obviously we can assume that the developer may plan to add more things we can play with. I think, so in general for this content to kind of make sense, You kind of have to avoid this situation where you just kind of get everything. And what I mean by that is that there's different ways to acquire things in the game here. So one, of course, is the crafting, but then there's this, which is kind of the big difference, I guess. The unique thing in this game, or the stuff that actually shows up in the world, is also stuff that you acquire. And that's kind of part of the progression. But this is all just stuff you buy. So you buy all these things, you collect these things to craft these things, and so the situation you can run into is that it kind of doesn't end up mattering what you buy or when, because you just kind of get everything anyways. It's just, you know, you might buy this before this, or then you might buy this before this, but it doesn't necessarily affect how the game unfolds in a very significant way. So in that case, it doesn't necessarily contribute that much to the concept you have here to kind of purchase these things. So I guess the way around that would be to devise some way for the choices that the player makes in choosing what to buy and what not to buy at any point in time to make that kind of more impactful to how the game unfolds. So I guess the first thing that comes to mind that I could kind of compare this to would be something like a skill tree in like an RPG game, where you know, it kind of branches out. So if you choose to go off in one branch, then that kind of branches out into other things, and you can kind of put points in that direction. But then if you put points in one direction, then you don't have points to put in the other direction. You know, and you don't have so much that you can just buy everything. You kind of have to choose which roads you go down, which branches you put your upgrade points into or whatever, and then depending on the choices you make, obviously your character ends up with different sorts of ability sets. And if you did a different run, then you might choose to put points into different things, then you might have a different playing character and that kind of thing. So that's just one example of a system that makes those kind of choices kind of relevant in how the game unfolds. Whereas here we just kind of buy everything, and it doesn't so much matter which things we buy first so far. So naturally, if there's just more content in general, it might change that a little bit, but I think that wouldn't quite be enough. It's not necessarily an easy thing to figure out, but I think you kind of want, the things that you choose here to affect the rest of the game quite significantly. So I'm not sure, maybe that would have to necessarily be a little more complicated than just this enemy shows up or doesn't. I mean, maybe that enemy interacts with the other things in ways that are interesting, like this object and this object might interact in some kind of ways. So if you choose to put these things in the world, then maybe that has some kind of effect that perhaps if buying another thing wouldn't have, and that sort of thing. It's perhaps a bit complicated, but hopefully you can kind of get at least a rough idea of what I'm trying to talk about here. And I suppose crafting to some degree could, I think all these things should kind of interact in that way where, naturally the things that you choose to put in the world might affect what you get for resources, and then that affects the kind of things that you can craft. That all makes sense, but, like I said, if you just end up getting everything anyways, it doesn't matter. But if you end up only buying certain things, then other stuff kind of gets intentionally neglected, then that could leave you with different sorts of things that you end up being able to craft or not craft, which could be interesting. So maybe that was part of the intention there, I'm not sure, but that makes sense to me. Apart from that, the general gameplay, I mean, I kind of mentioned things as I went along. I would say you know, maybe your attack just gets better and better if you had even more, you know, swords or whatever to unlock over time. But I think you could do to make the projectile move a bit faster. The limited range is you know, that's tolerable. It means you have to get a little closer. You can't just shoot off to the edges of the screen, that kind of thing. So I think there's nothing inherently wrong with forcing the player to get into range a bit more, but I think it would just feel better. Sort of a game feel thing. It feels more responsive and more. I guess your shots kind of feel more accurate if they move faster, because like if the enemy is moving, then if you put the reticle like directly on them when they're moving, you might miss them, so you have to kind of think about leading your shots a bit and stuff like that. Anyways, just in general, it tends to feel better if you have faster moving projectiles than this, so I would just change it for that reason alone. Just a little bit faster, and I think that would feel nice, but as it is, I mean, it seems perfectly functional. Some of the enemies are a bit interesting to fight, you know, the way they move around and stuff. I really like actually the fact that the like for instance the shots that the bunnies shoot can be kind of nullified by your own shots. That's just something that kind of ends up feeling good even if you do it kind of accidentally. It's kind of neat, so that's cool. But yeah, I think it's an interesting game, and if you just you know, in addition to what I said, I think kind of focus a little time on making sure the player is spending more time on things that are engaging and less time on stuff that's just kind of busy work or just looking at the same things they've always looked at and that kind of thing. That would be a good idea. Certainly interacting with the enemies is a bit more fun than, for instance, shooting the trees, that kind of thing. So yeah, all stuff to consider, but interesting concept. I think it's nice, and the scope of the game is well managed and such, so that's a good thing to see. But hopefully this video was useful to you. Okay, I moved a little further than I expected. Let me know if you have any questions. Ouch. I'm actually gonna, now that I'm close to death, I just want to see like the game over screen. Alright, there we go. Game over. So, I guess I didn't bring this up, but there was never any real risk of me actually losing here, so maybe, you know, you could find a way to manage the actual difficulty of the game a bit more. Might be a good idea, but again, like I don't... The enemies do kind of a lot of damage, but they're just not that dangerous, so it's one of those things where it's like you don't necessarily want to make them really weak, but more dangerous. I mean, maybe you can make them, when I say more dangerous, I mean in terms of their behaviors. Maybe you can make them, you know, move around a little faster and be more, like a little more likely to actually hurt you, and then make them do slightly less damage, that kind of thing. But you don't want to do that too much because you get into situations where it's just frustrating to actually deal with enemies. You never want to have it so it's like actually impossible to avoid, you know, damage from the enemies. You know, you don't want them like zooming at you from off the screen and then you just never saw them coming, and them hitting you. Even if you had tons and tons of health to offset that, it's just not going to be fun that way. So might be a little bit of tweaking you can do there, but anyways, gonna wrap this up. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.